Hi there, this is Dr. Jenny Yoon. Today we're talking about my book, Breast Cancer Prevention Starts with Healthy Living. It talks about nutrition and how that forms sort of the basis of preventing diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, and a lot of different cancers, including breast cancer. So, it's easy to write a book with a bunch of information, but how do we use that in our daily lives? So this is sort of multi-part series that we're continuing, and today we're going to talk about oatmeal. Oatmeal is one of the very inexpensive common sources of whole grain that you can eat. And if you've ever been to the supermarket lately and paid attention to different kinds of oatmeal that are available, you're sort of scratching your head saying, well, which one do I buy, and why are there all these different kinds of oatmeal? And life isn't easy. There are always choices, and you figure, well, am I making the right choice for myself and for my family? So I want to teach you some about whole grains today, and oatmeal is one of the most inexpensive and readily available type of whole grain. And the importance of whole grain is that it not only is nutritious, because it contains a ton of vitamins and minerals and other nutrients that our body needs, but in addition it has a lot of fiber. And when we talk about whole grain, you see whole grain right now everywhere, on flour to whole grain bread to whole grain everything. So what does that whole grain mean? Whole grain by definition means the grain has to be in its intact form, which means it can't be ground up into flour and call it whole grain, because it's really not the definition. The whole grain means the grain has to be intact. And what they do is when they harvest the whole grain, like oats, they have to remove the outer husk because we can't digest that. And once that husk is removed, that's sort of the first process of food processing, and that's the kind of form we want to eat. And those are what we call whole grains. And when it comes to oatmeal, when they remove that outer husk, it still has that outer coating of enzymes that if you keep it on the shelf for too long, it will go rancid. So what the manufacturers want is they don't want to have these products sitting out on the shelves and sort of going bad within a matter of months. They want to increase the shelf life. So what they do is take this oatmeal, actually oat at that point, and keep processing until they get to a form where they can keep it on the shelf forever without having to worry about going bad and changing taste. So I want to sort of walk through the process of how that food processing changes the texture and the taste of the oatmeal. So I have in this bowl two different kinds. This first one is called, it's a whole grain because it's in a sort of granular form, and it's called steel-cut oatmeal. And they come in these containers. The most common one that we like to use is this steel-cut oatmeal, or sometimes they're called Irish oatmeal. And the beauty of that is this is as natural as you can get in terms of oatmeal to its natural whole grain form. And these are essentially sort of chopped up oats without a whole lot of processing. And what that means is you have to cook it longer. And if you want to shorten the cooking time, you have to pre-soak it at least for several hours or overnight if you wanted to cook it faster in the morning. And the beauty about that, especially for people with diabetes or problems with blood sugar, is that when you eat these whole grains that are in their intact form instead of being mashed up, is they have smaller surface area. So when they get into your intestines, your body has to work harder to digest these, which means it's expanding more energy and metabolizing these whole grains, which means you're burning energy. So if you're trying to lose weight, it's a great thing, because for every spoon of this Irish oatmeal that you eat, you have to expend 2-3 times more energy to digest it. So you essentially may be eating oatmeal without a whole lot of added calories. And the other thing that's important for diabetes is they have what we call, you've heard this term being thrown around in the media called low glycemic index. So what does that mean? It means that when we eat foods, it gets digested and the body starts extracting nutrients And one of the nutrients that we get from our foods is sugar, called glucose. So when we eat foods like these fruits that are high in glucose, then our blood sugar level goes up right after we eat. But the foods like oatmeal, this Irish oatmeal that we eat that have low glycemic index, what happens is, since it takes so long to digest compared to like a candy bar that is just sugar, your body actually, the blood sugar spikes doesn't occur like if you ate a candy bar. So over time, it starts slowly releasing the sugar and nutrients into the bloodstream as it digests it, but you don't get that high spikes of sugar. So your body does really well with that, and if you're trying to control your blood sugar or avoid diabetes, these controlled release of glucose is very important. And also, the benefit of these Irish oatmeal is that they taste better. And if you ever start eating this Irish oatmeal, this mushy oatmeal like this one is very kind of flattened out. They're called instant oatmeal. And what happens is they take this Irish cut oatmeal and they keep processing and they steam it and remove the outer enzyme that we talked about that can go rancid. And that form is called quick oats. And when you take the quick oats and process it further and roll it out into these instant forms of oatmeal that you get in these little packets with a bunch of added sugar, you've now lost a bunch of nutrients. Going from the steel cut to instant oatmeal, that's a lot of food processing, and in the process you lose a lot of nutrients and vitamins and things. And these instant oatmeal, they digest faster, so you're not burning as much energy to digest it. Plus, you're going to get those glucose spikes. But still, these oatmeal instant ones are better than other types of things that you can be eating. So they're all nutritious, but if you had a choice, and you can purchase these Irish oatmeal or steel-cut oatmeal, and you've never tasted them, it's really important that you at least give it a try and see if you like it, because I'm used to eating this instant oatmeal, and my husband keeps telling me, well, you got to try this Irish oatmeal, and I said, I don't know, it kind of looks funny, until I start tasting it, and it's nutty and it's chewy, and it's sort of like eating rice for breakfast, and it's very tasty. And oatmeal by itself is kind of plain, and people look at a bowl of oatmeal going, well, I don't know, it doesn't look very gourmet to me. So those of us who like to eat gourmet things, I'm going to teach you how to dress it up. So what you do is you cook your oatmeal, and remember this steel cut or Irish oatmeal, you have to pre-soak it, or it takes longer to cook it. And instead of just cooking it in water, what I do is add a little bit of almond milk, or at the end when it's pretty much cooked and ready to go, you stir in a little bit of whatever milk you like to drink. My favorite is almond milk, but you can use any type of milk, sort of to give you a little bit of nutrient and a little bit of taste. And then what you do is you add on your favorite fruits. You can add blueberries, and if you like them, a little crispier, you can use frozen ones as well, especially if the fresh ones are not in season. You can take a little bit of strawberries and slice them up, and my favorite is the banana. You slice up a banana on top of a bowl of oatmeal, you got pretty much your daily whole quota of nutrients. And if you like the oatmeal to be a little bit sweeter, instead of using sugar, I use honey, because it's much better for you than just using granulated sugar. And the thing is, people, they try to cut calories and they sort of start using these artificial sweeteners like Splenda and things like that, and Struvia. We really don't know what kind of health effects those things have on our bodies. So if you must add sugar, use small amounts of honey or natural sweeteners like fruits. And you may not need to add any sugar. So try to avoid using those granulated sugars or artificial sweeteners. And then it's important that you make sure you cook the oatmeal, and if you're in a hurry and you try to use those instant packets of oatmeal, they have a ton of sugar. So you want to avoid using those packets. And you can tell because it's very sweet. So you want to get rid of all those packets that are made for instantaneous oatmeal, and you want to go buy these big bags of just regular plain oatmeal and use that because it doesn't take any longer to cook than the instant ones. The only thing is you have to sort of pour them out in a bowl, but you do it anyway. You got to empty the instant packet out in a bowl. So try to avoid things that are in a box or a package pre-made and ready to go, because they've undergone more processing and added more chemicals and things that you don't want. So again, it's very important for you to stay true to natural forms of foods, and by trying these whole grains such as this inexpensive Irish oatmeal or steel-cut oatmeal, you can get this whole can for about $5 in a supermarket, and it will last you months. Because just a cup of oatmeal can make enough oatmeal for one person. So try that and see how you like it. And remember, whole grain, you have to actually be able to see the grains. It's not sort of the pulverized flour form. And when you're looking in the supermarket and all these labels on breads called whole grain bread, you need to make sure how much of that is actually made of whole grain and how much of it is actually added white flour. You want to stay away from white flour, because what happens is you take the whole grain and you start processing it, and then the more you process and grind it up, you're losing nutrients. So you want to avoid products made of refined sugar like white bread, white pasta, and so forth, and stick with ones like brown rice or Irish oatmeal. So that's it for today, and if you want to learn more about the things that we talked about today, you can get my book on Amazon.com. You can get it in hardback or on Kindle, and start learning about how you can use this information to change your life. See you next time.